We're sorry that you're injured, but
I'm sorry that I'm injured. I'm sorry that I'm injured too,
It
Shannon.
means that you're up here, though, with us, so we appreciate it. But let's quickly talk on the umpires if we can, because it is a 2:30 game in the NTFL. The system is different. We've actually got 4 central umpires.
Yeah, we do. We have 4 central and 4 boundaries. It's part of the AFL-NT's heat rule, which was brought in several years ago. And in the AFL, for several rounds, they actually go to a 4-umpire system. Ironically, when you do it, though, you actually don't do less running. There's probably more secondary running to position. But out there in this lineup today, there's actually a father and son and a mother and son in that lineup today. So making his debut, and I won't embarrass him by announcing his age, but certainly on the wrong side of 40, depending on how you view age, is John Rawsthorne, and he's umpiring with his son Patrick. Ben Heaslip and Lockie Kendrick are the other umpires in the field. Very good lineup that basically Patrick and Lockie will be probably doing finals, you would hope, this year. But on the boundary is young Cooper Rainey, who I think is all of about 15 years of age. And he's sharing the limelight. It's his debut, but he's sharing the limelight with his mother, Erin, who's in goals.
That is impressive. That is super impressive. From 15 with his mum, and then a father and son debut, but it's actually the dad that's the debutant. So there's just so many great storylines there. And I do know that I think they're going to be all mic'd up, so I'm pretty sure the son will be mentoring the dad, John. So there you go. Really great stories everywhere with, we see the umpires now just getting the captains from both sides coming into the middle. Sun is shining here, and we have had rain earlier today, so it is just going to get muggier and muggier. If you don't know the top end, Dom, it is very, very tough conditions, but as we say, both teams are playing in exactly the same.
That's exactly right. Both teams are playing exactly the same. I think Wanderers might have just won the toss there and elected to kick to the airport end, I think.
Yep.
The way that the flags are blowing. So Wanderers to the right-hand side of your radio. That's the way that they're kicking. So interesting to see was both McLean, as in Braden McLean, and Daniel Wheater at that coin toss, and Shannon Rioli for the St Mary's Football Club there.
Talking about Daniel Wheater, he picked up our 3 votes last week when Wanderers defeated the Tiwi Bombers by 14 points. And yes, expecting a big game from him. Ashley, what do you like from both sides, and where do you think will be won today?
Look, I actually, Wanderers have been the surprise packet. I know there's a bit at stake actually for both these sides, because the St Mary's, believe it or not, if they win today, could actually go equal top until Nightcliff plays, based on points, not on percentages. And Wanderers could actually jump up as high as 3rd if they win today. Out of the both sides, though, I'm a bit more partial to the Eagles. I just think some of their younger players, like the 2 Jeffrey boys, like Bo O'Connell, and the young Motlops, I just like the way that they have been working in the first 5 rounds this year. I think they have a lot to offer. I don't mind the St Mary's side, but I just think the conditions may not suit them. I think it's going to be a little bit hot. They're a very nuggety side. They do have a lot of young, impressive footballers like Kieran Parnell that will cause plenty of headaches. But I just think the Eagles a little bit more balanced across the park, and having someone like Liam Patrick up front in front of goals is helpful. And I will mention one other Wanderers player, actually, Joseph Salmon. He's actually playing for St Mary's today. This is going to be an interesting matchup because he played last year for Wanderers and played pretty much most of his junior football. And Joseph, apart from being an umpire before he decided to dedicate it to football, he's actually got a lot of pace, and we'll see how he goes in these conditions.
Well, we do know last night it was a thrilling 3-point win to the Crocodiles. The Southern Districts were trailing at quarter time, half time and 3/4 time against the Darwin Buffaloes. They took the lead in the 18th minute, and it was all they needed in that final term to take the lead. Then they hung on for a thrilling 3-point win. So Southern Districts taking bragging rights last night against the Darwin Buffaloes. We will get you scores if we can from the Tiwi Island side that is taking on Palmerston at the moment. It's just started. News big there is Cyril Rioli is playing. Club debut for the Tiwi Bombers. And then this match, the players are just making their way to their positions. It's St Mary's up against Wanderers, and then the final round 5 match tomorrow is at Gardens Oval, where Waratah, desperate for a win, are hosting the reigning premiers Nightcliff. So we have the match not too far away, 2:30, very warm, steamy day here in Darwin. Round 5 action. Shannon Byrne alongside Ashley Manakaris and Dominic McCormack to get us underway.
Players lining up in the middle. Hands being shaken out there with the central umpire. Heath Maloney will take the ruck for St Mary's, and Ashley Hood, who's played very well across the course of the last few weeks for the Eagles. Been good in ruck. Thomas Motlop out there with the red boots. Lining up on Nick Yarran.
Not sure if he was going to play as well. He's just come back from a trip overseas in the US.
It's been away in America as Thomas Motlop. This will be nothing like it. Ball tossed high. Maloney up, gets a fingernail to it, goes back for a second crack. Hood wins that out straight to Paredes, goes to Yarran. Yarran finds space through the midfield immediately. Long kick down inside 50. Mark taken. Raphael Clark takes the mark. His opponent there in Jordan Jeffrey appealing for the free kick for a push in the back, but Raphael Clark, the umpire says all good there. He'll line up from just slightly to the left of centre and kick from about 40.
Well, the thing about that, he was appealing for hands in the back, but that rule, of course, has changed now, and you can actually put your hands in the back as long as there's no forward motion.
Raphael Clark close to the man on the mark, kicks, and kicks truly. First goal on the board for the green and gold in the first 45 seconds of this match.
Well, it's a bit clinical there out of the middle, wasn't it, Dom? The St Mary's players got their hands on the ball, and I don't think an Eagles player actually managed to touch it. There was a bit of a knocking around, and quick hands out of there, and it was Nicky Yarran who set that up straight out of the middle, and then looking for his skipper, and good contest. And there's Clark, double-handed, good mark.
So strong in front of goals. Clark gets him off to an absolute flyer. Back in the middle with Maloney and Hood. Motlop just in the ear of Hood at the moment.
Pretty obviously too.
But it's Maloney that gets the tap. Doesn't go down to an advantage. He gathers the ball, slight handball out, gets it to Yarran. Yarran going down towards the Michael Long centre, up to full forward. No one in particular. Jeffrey. It is actually Jordan Jeffrey, who's not able to pick it up, but a beautiful tackle from Jordan Jeffrey, and it's going to be in favour of Wanderers. They play out to the western wing, and it's out of bounds on the full, but Jordan Jeffrey inside their defensive 50 has been good.
Tom Gilbert takes the mark now. Got just outside 50. Man on the mark, 10 metres in from the boundary. Left forward pocket. Gilbert now. Long, raking, left foot kick. That's going to be a goal from Tom Gilbert. I don't know whether he intended it, but that's a magnificent kick from Tom Gilbert. St Mary's, 2 straight 12 leading the Eagles yet to score.
Well, it's the thing about that left-hand pocket going towards McMillan's Road end here at TIO Stadium is the good players on their right foot can actually put it from there, and he's kicked that from about 45 out. So it was a quick kick in from an out of bounds on the full from the mix-up on the way out for the Eagles, and he's actually outside the 50 as he goes back and has a big hard look, and in fact he's kicked on his left and then brought it back around. A great kick at goal. And just straight through. The goal umpire didn't have to move.
Under 3 minutes gone in the opening term, and it's Saints out to a lead. Maloney with a big wing out of the tap, advantage towards St Mary's, and it's trying to be picked up by Salmon. Comes over to the attacking left side of the wing, and it is just hit over by St Mary's captain Shannon Rioli, and it's going to be a ball up 60 metres from goal on the left. Up it goes. Maloney and Hood battling at it. Hood got a fist to it, but no real advantage. Tapped down. There's about 10 players around. Wanderers trying to gather it out. Ball smothered by St Mary's Salmon. And it's going to go pretty much identically out of bounds.
Saints have got a lot of pressure around the ball carrier, haven't they?
55 metres around from the left post. We'll do it all again. Ball tossed into the 50-metre paint. It's Maloney now that saps it inside their 50, but it's going to come out. Oh, no, still under pressure. And the Wanderers player there is absolutely manhandled by Yarran. The umpire was very quick to blow the whistle. He's going to toss it straight back up. It's Maloney that wins the toss down. Little give and go there from Hams. Hams puts it to the top of the goal square. Ducking under it, picking it up. McLean is for Wanderers out on the left. And it is Motlop in the left back pocket. And the ball has gone from one side to the other.
Out of bounds on the full is the call.
Yeah, it's going to be a St Mary's kick it back in.
So the kick in comes. Mark taken. So St Mary's dominating at the moment. Just great pressure. And of course, the last time they played at this time, they had to play the Tiwi Bombers at this time of the afternoon, which ended up being a 240-point fest.
Dylan Johnson, by the looks of it.
So he's
fancies himself from that distance, Dom.
Lining up in that right forward pocket. About 10 metres in is the man on the mark. He comes in, awkward looking run up, right boot kick. Starts right, fades late, stays right. So a point on the board there for St Mary's, 2-1-13. Wanderers yet to score. Almost 5 minutes gone. The quick play on. McLean brings the ball back into play. Kick misses the target. Salmon for St Mary's missed the ball. Dre Thompson gathers close to the boundary. In fact, it might have been Cooper. Cooper finds the chest there of a teammate in the form of Davin Ferreira. Couldn't take the mark close to the boundary, and it'll be another boundary throw in. Grandstand side.
Good to see
centre wing.
Ferreira back. Oh, he's a fly-in, fly-out, so they get him every second week. Last time he played for Wanderers, he kicked 4. This could be a big afternoon for him. Free kick going, infringement in the ruck, so it's going to be Wanderers. The centre of the western wing. Handball from Fuller goes into the middle, and a great mark from Jeffrey, and that is the man we are expecting big things from, Joel Jeffrey, the youngster. Green boots, flary boots, and flary player to go with it. He's 40 metres, slight angle to the right. Has he got the distance, Ashley?
Well, I think he has, but more importantly, he's actually outmarked Jake Long there and just judged that beautifully to bring it down. We've seen him do that a few times during the season, so he's gone a long way back. He's well inside the square, and he'll probably end up kicking from about 50 metres out on a very slight angle.
Slight breeze behind him as well, kicking towards the airport end. Joel Jeffrey on the paint of 50. He's got the carry, but he doesn't have the accuracy, and it just goes to the left. So 6 minutes gone. St Mary's 2-1-13. Wanderers' first score of the match, and it's a point.
I would have liked to have seen him actually kick through that then. He didn't quite, kick right through it. He sort of stabbed it a little bit.
Man to bring the ball back into play, Jack Long. Been doing this for a long time now, and that's a wonderful kick in. Raphael Clark falls over. He was the target, gets back up, has the ball come to him. His tackle brought to ground. Good tackle laid there by Jordan Jeffrey. So the Jeffrey's in the action in the last few moments. The central umpire to take that footy, toss it back up in the air at half forward for the Eagles. One down there by Leroy Larson. Little hand comes out to Gilbert. Gilbert tries to go it alone, gets away from Sedgwick initially. Ball comes to Thomas Motlop, steps around Larson. No, he doesn't. He's caught in a tackle. Tap out comes from Warwick Williams. Bo O'Connell darting through the congestion. Did well. Got the footy. Handed it off there to a teammate in Fuller. Now back to O'Connell. Lovely little left foot chip. Sets up a teammate in McLean. Couldn't take hold of it. Davies comes through. Gets the ball to Jack Long. Just grabs it, picks up, hacks away on the left boot. Waiting underneath it was Cooper. Didn't quite get underneath it. Bo O'Connell grabs it again. Thumps it inside 50. Jack Long in there. Liam Patrick tries to crash the pack. Couldn't get the footy. Jack Long in there again. Handball from Davies was errant. The snap on goal is good. And that's a goal to the Eagles. Kicked, I think, by Ferreira.
Yeah, it was. Well, Bo O'Connell, I'm just going to talk about Bo O'Connell for a second before we get to that goal. So he's worked on the grandstand side and then gone across and then set that up by sending it back in. So this is what I was talking about with the youngsters from the Eagles and the ground they will cover. And he basically forced that pressure to keep that ball inside their 50. And here we go again, Darren Ferreira setting that up with a right foot snap. Good start.
We saw him do it in round 3. He kicked 4 for Wanderers. And he has got their first one for the afternoon here in round 5. Ball to be tossed back up in the middle. Sun shining here at Marara Oval. Larson, big fly, gets a good tap down, and it's picked up in the end through St Mary's, coming out through Slater. Ball to Yaron, goes out to the left, Salmon. Drop mark from the Wanderers defenders. It's 2-on-2, but great pressure there from the Eagles. Ball still down on the ground. Numbers towards Wanderers. And it's going to be jumped on by Yaron, who's on top of the player there. The ball's going to be
Sedgwick.
Balled up. And Sedgwick,
who played really well last week for the Eagles.
So ball up on the left forward 50-metre mark in favour of St Mary's.
The ball did go up and came straight down to Tom Gilbert, who was wrapped up immediately in a tackle. Sedgwick again getting up from the bottom of that pack. A tremendous match last week for the Eagles. Ball tossed up very close to the boundary line here. Thumped to the advantage of Thomas Motlop. He gathers his tackle by Salmon. And dropping the ball is the call by the umpire.
No, he's paid a throw.
Paid a throw.
Yeah.
Salmon takes the free kick. Motlop putting on some good pressure. Salmon, the long bomb down towards the goal square. Off hands. The Eagles through Brenton Motlop. Kick out wide to the back pocket. McLean is there. Good handball to the run of Wheatra. Wheatra cruising through defensive 50 now. Long kick up towards Ferreira. Close to the boundary. Can he grab it and keep it in? No, he cannot. So to the left of the scoreboard, there'll be another boundary throw in. St Mary's 2-1-13, leading the Eagles 1-1-7. We've gone 10 minutes in this first quarter.
Well, this looks like it's going to be the spectators in the grandstand might struggle. It'll be the throw-in of Cooper Rainey, the debutante boundary. And it's not a bad throw-in to first one.
Larson up against Fuller. And now it's St Mary's. Through Long. Left kick. It's going now into the middle with a sweeping handball. So St Mary's are looking to go out to the left. Big kick in towards forward 50, just over the head there of Cullen. And now it's Salmon. Ducking, weaving. He goes up to the top of the 50-metre arc. Quick play on there from Hams. And he probably should have gone back and taken his time. But the ball's still in favour. Quick snap on goal. And it's Paredes who's got the goal for St Mary's. It looked like it wasn't going to come to the advantage of St Mary's, but Paredes with a snap-on goal directly in front, 30 metres out. Yeah,
good work from him. As it was clever to go quick by Hams, and
probably not initially. It looked like an ugly one.
No,
to be fair,
he knew what he was doing. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But a good physical contest in there. But then it was quick from Paredes to actually be aware and good goal awareness, and that really just demonstrates his class as a footballer, doesn't it, as midfield, the way he picked it up and knew what he was doing.
Shannon, I know there's a number 26 out there for St Mary's, but doesn't appear to be a number 26 on the team sheet. Perhaps something we may be able to check. Ball back in the middle. Leroy Larson up against Hood. The ball just bounces at the feet of those players. Salmon comes through, gets a handball away to Paredes. The long handball away from Paredes. Goes to Quinn, did beautifully. Gets it away there to James. Box up high, good mark taken. And I think that might be Jordan Cullen, the number 26. Meant to be wearing number 25, unless I'm looking at it incorrectly. It is.
No, it's 25.
Is it 25? It is 25. So Jordan Cullen. That was a really well worked from the middle there by St Mary's. Jordan Cullen, right of centre, kicking on about a 40-degree angle. Man on the mark at 35.
Full credit to St Mary's in this first 12 minutes or so of this quarter. 8 minutes of this quarter, they've been very well out of the middle as the shot on goal just moves off to the left and through for a point.
Jordan Cullen, that was a bit of a poor kick off the left boot there. Through for a behind, so St Mary's move on to 3-2-20. Wanderers 1-1-7, 12 and a half gone.
So not able to get a quick kick in there for Wanderers, but it's going to go straight down the left, and that kick there from McLean has gone straight down the throat of a St Mary's player. He goes inboard to Salmon, who has time. Rioli tells him to hold it up. He goes into the right forward pocket, and it is brought up to the pack of four players, brought down, and not able to take the mark there was Slater. So a ball in right forward pocket for St Mary's, about 30 metres around. Going up in the ruck is Johnston, the full forward for St Mary's. He's going up against Hood. And it's going to go the top of the square. Mark not able to be taken there for St Mary's. And it's going to be kicked off the ground from Cullen. And they're just going to confirm here that it wasn't touched. But for St Mary's, it looks like Cullen might have snuck through, got a boot to it. The two umpires and the goal umpire just confirming here to make sure it wasn't touched. But Cullen might have out of the pack kicked it off the ground, actually.
He may well have, although William Wood, the goal umpire, then was signalling his, so he was calling his, which may indicate that it was touched off the ground. The Wanderers fullbacks actually regathered the ball and has got it there, but there's a long consultation. And he's going to the middle and looks like it's all clear. That's socket off the ground, and we're just watching the replay. All clear has been given, and that's a goal.
Wow, so there you go. Cullen in the pack has kicked it off the ground, and that is St Mary's 4th goal. They're out of the blocks here. St Mary's 4-2-26 to Wanderers 1-1-7. 14 minutes gone in the opening term.
And that was a goal that was manufactured from nothing, really, but it also is symbolic of the type of pressure that St Mary's have put on up forward inside that 50. They're really working hard, and they're working hard in numbers. And at the moment, Wanderers can't seem to get a clear break or clear air because they're immediately put under pressure by their opponent.
Back in the middle now, Maloney to go up against Hood. Ball tossed high, no bounce on that occasion. Maloney wins it clearly, but straight down the throat of Thomas Motlop. He kicks up inside 50, off hands, out to Jack Long. Lovely little kick from him, goes to Parnell, who's just come onto the ground, looking for leads. Salmon offers a lead. That's a wobbler, terrible kick, and just belted straight over the boundary line by Jordan Jeffrey. Killed that footy quite easily then, just to the left now of the Wanderers interchange race. So almost 15 minutes gone here in this first quarter. 26 plays 7. Boundary throw in. Morris Rioli grandstand wing. About left half forward for St Mary's. Ruckman take their position. Maloney in front of Hood, wrestles him through, gets it away here to Gilbert. Nice little handball to Salmon. Lovely kick to Parnell. Straight away the quick hands to James Box. His long kick into a dangerous position. Defenders having to work hard there. Daniel Wheatra released a handball. Wanderers unable to take the ball cleanly here. Players going to ground. Saints getting their hands onto the footy. McMurray received a handball. Handballs it away there to Cullen. Well taken by McLean. Gets it away through the Eagle defence. Long kick down towards centre wing. Ball almost trapped there by Jake Long. Handball comes out to Jacob Long. Couldn't handle from Parnell. Now Jake Long in the clear. Dummies one way, then the other. Now goes Long by hand. Away here to Box again. Good kick. Cullen got himself underneath it. Ball taken now by McLean. Looking to steady. Kicking long. Target will be Thomas Motlop. Up against Salmon. Salmon did well to put the body in. Coming through strongly was Gilbert. Released by hand. Little 1-2 goes to Salmon. Salmon up towards Shannon Rioli. Got himself under the footy. Cleared a path for Raphael Clark. Good call from Johnston on the outside. Clark found him. Bangs away at goal and kicks to the right. Good build-up by St Mary's. Good pressure. They go to 4-3-27. Wanderers 1-1-7. 16 and a half gone in the first quarter.
And young Salmon for St Mary's playing against his old club and having a field on it. Geez, must have had 10 possessions so far already in this quarter and looking the goods out there. McLean
opts to come down the commentary wing. Oh, Salmon, the man we're talking about, flies at the back of the pack. Wasn't able to take it. Ball down on the ground in dispute, and it just dribbles out and just left of the Wanderers interchange, but Salmon was at the back. Took Thomas Motlop as a step ladder. Just wasn't able to bring it down. So ball being tossed back. Maloney up against Fuller. And there's a whistle gone here. Hold. So Fuller for Wanderers will win a free out of the ruck contest after that ball in. He wants to go by hand. Goes short to Thomas Motlop. And he looks long, goes for a long kick down the wing, but it goes over the head of Williams.
I think that might have been a kick for touch, to be honest with you. Shannon had that sort of precision to it.
Well, he had 2 Wanderers jumpers in favour and only one St Mary's gone over the head of Williams.
I've got to say to you, some of the Eagles' leaders probably aren't at their best at the moment, and McLean, just needs to get himself into the game. Same with Wheatra.
Larson wins it down for St Mary's. They go quickly down the western wing, defensive side, but it's chopped off by Wanderers Wheatra. Wheatra doing a lot of directing traffic. He goes back inboard. Picked up, nice bounce by Hoda. He goes down looking for Jordan Jeffrey, and at the front mistimes it. Long, and that is Jack Long. And they're not able still to get it out, St Mary's. And now it's St Mary's going through Jack Long, handballs it. And very dangerous one back to Davies. Davies goes out the right, just outside their defensive 50 now. But it's going to be coming back in for Wanderers. Picked up by Colley. Colley, handball over. And it is a very tricky situation here. And he's Fuller. Steps around. He can't go anywhere. Goes back to Thomas Motlop. Front of goal, 50 metres. And it's pressure there from St Mary's defenders. And it's going to be a ball up after a beautiful tackle from Wanderers full forward Jordan Jeffrey. And he has absolutely nailed it and taken Jack Long, and in doing so, Jack Long has been called for holding the ball. So the youngster, Jordan Jeffrey from the Eagles...
Joel Jeffrey,
sorry, has his measure at the moment, runs around, snap on goal, and he kicks it from 20 metres out directly in front. Wanderers 2-1, 13. St Mary's 4-3, 27. But Joel Jeffrey having a pretty good day on a very experienced Long at the moment.
He is. They messed around a bit with it there, St Mary's. Jack Long didn't pick it up and put Jake, his cousin, under enormous pressure. And basically he ran straight into young Jeffrey, and he tucked that ball under his arm, did Long, and Jeffrey was equal to it. And so the umpire was left with no alternative but to pay a holding the ball directly in front, and then he paid on quickly. Much needed goal, but again, Saints, for whatever reason, played around with it in the back end, which they haven't done so far in this quarter. They've usually been pretty good getting it out.
Interesting situation there now for Jake Long. Probably never played as a key position defender.
Yeah.
Ball from the restart, and on this occasion, Jake Long taking a good mark in defence. Handball away to Davies. Long kick out to Gilbert, who's been dominant. On his tail is Daniel Wheatra. Little kick from Gilbert. Up to a teammate there in box who ducks under the tackle beautifully. Left foot kick comes into Yaron. Keeps it in front of himself. Dummies to go to Gilbert. Now goes inboard to Quinn. Quinn to Larson. Larson to Johnston. Sold him into a little bit of trouble. Handball there goes to Dre Thompson, and now to Daniel Wheatra in the clear. Always uses the ball well. Finds Warwick Williams. Tackled there by Jake Long. That pressure was important because the ball has now been turned over again. Quinn goes to Gilbert, confronted by Ferreira. Gone. Great tackle by Ferreira. Gilbert tried to take him on. Couldn't do it. Ferreira takes the footy through centre half forward now. Joel Jeffrey handles beautifully. Handball away here to Liam Patrick. Bo O'Connell tried to steal it. They mucked it up. And the turnover. St Mary's defence handling that beautifully. And the mark taken at fullback. Looking to bring the footy in now. The long kick out wide here, looking for Quinn. Pushed in the back, and he'll take the free kick.
Yeah.
Sedgwick just holding that up there for a moment, but James Quinn deep in the left back pocket take the free kick.
He looks to go down the western wing, the commentary wing, and looking for Xavier Clark, and Xavier Clark's going to get the free kick. So another hands in the back and a push there by Jordan Jeffrey.
Just nudged him under the ball there. Both free kicks were there, and it was just the nudge under the ball that actually had the umpire paying the free kick, and Clark presenting himself but not getting an easy run at it.
And I've called him Xavier, haven't I? It's Raf Clark. But just quickly on Raf Clark, once he was given that free kick, just saw him having a quick stretch of his left hamstring there, so keep an eye on that, Ashley, as well. As the ball's now in front of the St Mary's interchange, goes down Gilbert, ugly kick because it's chopped off by Wanderers in Hodor. He goes inboard, finds Wheatra. Wheatra goes over to the left again. Kick just over the head of McLean. Might be going to the advantage of St Mary's here. McLean dragged off the ball and illegally, said the umpire. They're on the defensive side of the centre square, over on the eastern wing. Goes down towards Thompson. Thompson underneath the scoreboard. Plenty of time. Comes back towards Ferreira, who's in the middle of the park at the moment. He switches sides, finds an open Hodor. They've gone left to right and back again. Wheatra now puts him inside the forward attacking 50, looking for the lead of Patrick. And it's Long at the back for St Mary's, who'll mop it up. Jack Long it is, and he's able to bring St Mary's out of their defensive 50. And it's an ugly kick, but they're in the middle of the park. Ball picked up. Oh, Liam Patrick absolutely scang tackled by two St Mary's players. It's going to be a ball up right at the edge. It's the attacking edge on the right for Wanderers, but it's numbers of here for St Mary's.
Leroy Larson up in that ruck contest, won it down. St Mary's with hands on the footy. Marcus Totham gets in the way, however. Fires that little handball to Bo O'Connell. Lovely kick from him, looking for Hood coming out from full forward, but the siren sounds for quarter time, which sees St Mary's in the lead. 4-3-27, Wanderers 2-1-13.
We're here for when the heavens open and the winds howl. We're here for when the water just won't stop. We're here for the wet and we're here for the dry. We're here because we know there's nowhere else you'd rather be.
And there's nowhere else we'd rather be either. TIO Home Insurance. We're for Territorians.
So we can feel forever, yeah, feel together, real together. No one can stop. No one can stop. Nothing can ever bring me
Mother Nature can be frighteningly predictable in the Territory this time of year. Heavy rains and damaging winds can cause significant problems and disruption, particularly if you're unprepared, while downed power lines and flash flooding can be lethal. To ensure you're ready, visit powerwater.com.au/safety or text SAFETY to 0428 323 991 for more information. Because staying safe and ready around Mother Nature should be second nature.
CFS Schoolwear is the perfect choice for quality custom-made school uniforms. Ideal clothing for all school-related activities, whether it's 50 or 500 students, we have what you need. Contact the Cricket and Football Shop NT for your free CFS Schoolwear quote today.
Let's see. Roma, Verona?
Perhaps Barcelona.
Make your dream holiday a reality. Book your next getaway at Flight Centre with interest-free holidays and flexible repayment options.
Best in the air.
And everywhere.
Flight Centre.
Intersport, new concept store now open in Casuarina Square. Come in and check out a world-class shopping experience.
Dedicated sports zones.
Now stocking only the biggest brands in tennis, cricket, fitness from treadmills to benches, boxing, swimming, darts, pool and table tennis. For awesome service and advice, still locally owned and operated, the all-new Intersport concept store.
Now open at Casuarina Square.
Boys, we've got a real big problem. It belongs to you, it belongs to me, it belongs to everybody. I'm talking about family violence. It's time we said no more to family violence, isn't it? Yeah. Think about it.
We've all got to say no more to family violence.
No more!
Family violence is a community problem and it needs a community response from all of us, and sport is a big part of that. But we can all do our bit by being more respectful to each other. Please make this year the year we say no more to family violence.
You are one of almost 140,000 people living in an area at risk of being affected by a cyclone this wet season. In your cyclone kit, you will need a battery-operated radio and torch with spare batteries, enough food and at least 10 litres of water per person to sustain you and your family for 72 hours or more. Remember, all important documentation such as passports, photos and insurance policies should be kept in a safe and waterproof place. Be prepared this wet season. Brought to you by TIO.
so is young Joseph Salmon. He's on the scoreboard wing, and he has had a ton of touches already in this game, and he's playing against his old side. So it's a couple of the young guns out there that have really matched up. Bo O'Connell, of course, for Wanderers has been in on it, and so too has young Totham. So second quarter, we'll see how this all pans out.
So the midfield set. The umpire just waiting for people to get into position. Might be waiting for umpires to get into position.
No, I think Thomas Motlop been told to hurry up and get to full forward.
They've got to start with 2 inside the square. Goal square.
Central umpire holds the ball aloft, tosses it high. Maloney just leaps up by himself there, charging into the ball. Salmon, so too Liam Patrick. And Wanderers given the advantage after a free kick there to Patrick. Bit of a 1-2 with the handball. Sedgwick comes away, long kick down to Joel Jeffrey. Beautiful play from the Eagles. Joel Jeffrey, almost any day of the week, is going to be far too quick for Jack Long, and he had metres on him on that lead, and he's taken the mark 47 metres or so from goal, almost directly in front. And he'll go back and have the deliberate shot at goal.
Well, if he gets delivery like that at any other time, he's going to be too good for most full-backs, to be honest with you, Dom. He's not a bad kick, and he's a great lead at goal.
The lime green boots. Trots in, reaches 50, kick on its way, hangs it high up in the air, drops now and drops to the right. So another behind on the board there for Joel Jeffries. Had 3 shots at goal. He's kicked 1 goal, 2. So St Mary's remain in the lead, 4-3-27. Wanderers 2-2-14, 1 minute down in the second quarter.
And Jake Long will take the kick in for St Mary's. He's gone to Ferreira to start this second quarter. So he comes out to the right. Defensively, they're outside their 50, St Mary's. And the fly there from Raphael Clark, not being able to take the mark. Fuller now from Wanderers, but there's been a free kick off the ball. So it is going to go in the way of Gilbert for St Mary's. Sedgwick is the man that infringed. He's on the defensive side of the wing, goes down long. Xavier Clark at the front of the pack, can't take it. Jordan Jeffrey too casual with the ball, and a great tackle there from St Mary's. Paredes, incorrect disposal, so quickly played on for St Mary's, going down to Johnson. Johnson with the hands out in front, taking the mark in front of Brenton Motlop. Great quick play there from St Mary's. Johnson on the lead. He's going to be on a 45-degree angle, 35 metres from goal. Just gone back over the 50-metre paint now, and that was strong hands from the full forward.
Yeah, it was. Brenton giving away a bit of height there to Dylan Johnson, and I think paying the price for that in the end. Good call from the umpire, because the ball did stick and then bounced out once he'd come to ground as Johnson comes in right foot.
And he has taken that to the left, so that did not look like that was going on goal. He did it directly in front of us. We rode the ball, and that was always going to go to the left. So St Mary's add 1. They're 4-4-28. Wanderers 2-2-14.
Braden McLean to bring the ball back into play. Now called to play on. Nice stinky little kick to Wheater. In fact, it was too high for him. Couldn't handle. Charging in was Paredes. So too Johnston got a handball away. Taken by Wheater. Kicks quickly and will find the boundary line. Not deliberate. Was looking for a teammate. Well, out there was Marcus Totham. Couldn't get to it before it went over. And there'll be a boundary throw in. 60 around from Saints goal.
So going up in the ruck. Patrick up against Maloney from Saints. Maloney, front position, taps it down, but only as far as Fuller from Wanderers, though St Mary's have the numbers. And a great tackle there from Liam Patrick. And he wraps up Yaron, and the ball will be tossed up. Big Maloney goes up. Patrick's not seeming to go up. Patrick's not going up against him in the ruck at the moment when the ball's up.
He didn't compete in the middle, no. And he didn't compete in the middle either, which was a tactic that actually Tiwi Islands tried last season. And just to shark the ball off the dominant ruckman.
So ball tossed back in, and they now Wanderers are going to come away. It's worked out for them in favour. Cooper goes over to the right. They've got all the run here, Wanderers. If the ball sits up, it does for Hoda. He goes around one, goes around Salmon, goes up onto the left, looking for Ferreira, and it was a great... Ferreira is gone tunnelling for Jake Long, so the free kick to St Mary's. They come outside their defensive 50. They come down the commentary wing, falls in the lap of Yaron. Patrick's on the mark for the Eagles. He goes back inside. Risky ball to Rioli, but he took a good over-the-head mark, and that was in front of Cooper.
Looks like it's a 50.
And it's going to be 50 because Cooper, oh, sorry, that is actually Thompson, very undisciplined, ran over the mark, had made no effort to get back on the mark. And Rioli is just, Shannon Rioli is going to take his time. So he now has a very slight angle. The player, Sedgwick, is on the 50-metre paint. He's inside the centre square, Rioli. He's going to kick it from 55 metres. Rioli comes in. Has he got the distance? He's got the distance, but he doesn't have the accuracy. And it is going to be to the left. So St Mary's 4-5-29 lead Wanderers 2-2-14. 5 minutes gone in the second quarter.
Yeah, well, I actually would have thought I was thinking he was going to have a shot and be right in that. I would have picked him from there.
Ball in from McLean, looking for Daniel Wheater, is working very hard. Picks the ball up at half back for the Eagles. About 2 metres in from the boundary. Wonderful kick, finds Warwick Williams. They're already inside 50 now. The target, Thomas Motlop, got hands to it. Just couldn't take the mark under pressure back there. And Thomas Motlop, a good target, just couldn't quite take the grab. So a boundary throw in now, 40 metres around, right forward pocket. The Eagles into attack, and that's how quickly that can be done. Well done to the Eagles, moving the ball very quick. Ball tossed in. Larson takes the footy, gets it away to a teammate. Quick bomb out towards centre wing. Gilbert in pursuit, grabs it just before the boundary. The left footer goes to the target of Johnston, got hands to it, couldn't mark it. Salmon coming through with pace. Pressure put on Brenton Motlop, got a handball away to Sedgwick. Looks to settle here, almost finding the target down there in Edward Colley. Couldn't do so. Ball goes over the boundary line. It'll be a boundary throw in again, just to the left of the scoreboard. St Mary's in the lead, 4-5-29. Wanderers 2-2-14, 6 minutes down.
News coming from Bathurst Island, where Cyril Rioli is making his debut for the Tiwi Islands, and Tiwi trail Palmerston Magpies 26-40 at half-time. It is wet, slippery conditions, but it's not wet and slippery here. We are partway through the second quarter. Whistle goes from a ruck infringement, going to go in favour of
St Mary's by the looks of it.
For St Mary's. Ruck infringement. There's been a couple of whistles just even from the ruck. So Larson goes directly underneath the scoreboard, and a good lead and mark taken from St Mary's. They go back into the middle. Numbers here for Saints if they want it. Little chip ball over to Box. Box in the centre of the ground. Oh, very, very sharp pass, but it's picked off by Wanderers in McLean. And McLean is going to get them outside their defensive 50. Goes out to the right, and he's found Totham.
Totham, nice little step around Gilbert there. Goes in and finds a teammate in Edward Colley. Colley still at half back. Salmon on the mark. Little chip kick is a good one. Goes to Warwick Williams. Played a good game last week, did Williams. A high up and under now. Looking out wide there for John Tipalora. Can't find him, and they'll do it again as the ball goes over the boundary line. Lots of stoppage work here this afternoon with the boundary throw-in to take place at right half forward for the Eagles.
Well, it's a bit of an arm wrestle at the moment, in a bit of a low patch. Both sides not prepared to give ground and working very hard, and the boundary line's everyone's friend.
8 minutes gone. Larson wins the footy down. Ball comes back there to Ashley Hood. He's taken in a tackle by Larson. St Mary's with numbers around the footy. Comes away here to Quinn. Should drive this long inside 50. Johnston the target. The big man got in front. Then got around Brenton Motlop. Went to soccer off the ground and missed the footy. Now goes back in and gets hold of it. Handballs to the advantage of Raphael Clark. He gathers. He has numbers. People running for him. It goes to Gilbert, the high up and under. Wanderers defence converges. Mark almost taken by Wheater. Tackle laid. Stacks on the mill. The ball spills clear. Good play there by Jordan Jeffrey. Ball comes out to Matthew Motlop, and he pushes it out over the boundary line in the left forward pocket, and a boundary throw-in will take place. 15 metres around from the St Mary's goal.
Well, Hams was on the end of a huge hit there, and I'm trying to work out who it was, whether it was the young Jeffrey boy or not, but he got well and truly cleaned up there.
Jordan Jeffrey up against Raphael Clark, goes at the back. Clark catches it, puts it down, and it's still in favour. A shot on goal comes out of the pack. Johnson, though, tries a one-handed mark, falling to the ground, and he's going to pick up the free kick instead, and that was being held. So Johnson, he's got a very, very acute angle here, and if... he's got to have no one standing on the mark.
50-metre penalty.
It's a 50-metre penalty. The umpire there was telling Wheatra to stand on the mark, and Wheatra was like 2 metres to his side. He was not listening to the umpire there at all.
No, and I think he might have actually been forward as well. So it's got to be a straight line, and not that we're in a great position from here, but I would say to you he was in front of that mark, which is what umpire Rawshawn was saying to him, was come back, step back, but be in line with my arm. That's why he was signalling to the side, and the 50 metre got paid. But we can have a look at the original free kick anyway. I'd want to see about the hold. I'm not sure about that, Dom.
Well, it is an easy goal though, Dom, isn't it? Because Johnston was on a very, very acute angle, probably a 25 degree on the right forward pocket. He would have had to run around and make it hard for him, but Wheatra not responding to the directions there from the umpire, and Johnson got to kick it right on the goal line.
Ball tossed up high in the middle. Hood up against Maloney. Maloney wins it down. Yaron gets first hands to it. Couldn't take it cleanly. Spillage goes to Matthew Motlop. Banana ball inside 50. Taken by Davies. Squirts it out wide. Looking out there for Kieran Parnell. Playing a bit of a different role this afternoon on the wing. His chip is a good one. Good kick up to William Hams. Takes that mark. Kick smothered. Didn't allow for the man on the mark. Wheatra charging in at the footy. He's wrapped up in a good tackle there by McMurray. Play on advantage is the call. Pushing the back to Yaron. Ball comes to Clark. Trying to spin there is Jai Hartung. Spillage. Yaron's involved in a bit of a to-do behind the play. Players go on with it here. Saints kick, ball in hand. And the umpires have finally gotten on top of it here. Some ordinary play behind the scenes. It'll be interesting to see which way the umpires look at this. Tyrell Louis was really getting stuck into Nick Yaron. So will there be a ball up, or will there be a free kick? In fact, there's going to be a free kick, and it will go to the Eagles.
So Yaron remonstrated there behind the scenes. Good pick up by the umpire, because Yaron was actually the one that started that, and Tyrell actually responded.
So thumping kick down the left wing for the Wanderers. The ball doesn't favour and drops for Cooper. So now it is going to be picked off though by Wanderers. Mansell handballs it out to Motlop. And that is Matthew Motlop. He gets it over the top. Nowhere to go. They have to go all the way back to Matthew Motlop. He's in the centre of the western wing. He decides to put it inside the forward 50 to Thomas Motlop. Still an advantage here for Wanderers, but it's Jake Long who's picked it up for St Mary's. He's on the bottom of the pack, and the umpire has said that's not going anywhere. So there'll be a ball up inside Wanderers forward 50, slight angle, 40 metres out from goal. Maloney taps it down the back. It's Sedgwick for Wanderers. Puts it out to a very good lead for Ferreira. A bit too far out in front. He's able to pick it up. Tries once, tries twice. Pats it forward. Goes to the advantage of Williams. Williams shot on goal. It's at top of the square, and it's been cut off by Jordan Jeffrey. But the whistle's gone against Jake Long, and it's going to go back to where Williams kicked it.
No, it's not. It's in fact going to be given as a free kick downfield.
Off the ball.
No, yeah. So there was a high tackle. There was a high tackle that wasn't paid originally in the just then when the ball was kicked. It's now been held up and it's been paid downfield. So
how can it be paid downfield when the tackle was laid in the motion of kicking?
Because the ball from here it looked like the ball had been kicked.
That's why we've got an umpire sitting next to us.
So from here I would have paid it downfield as well, Dom. So I would have been equally wrong.
From Williams kick to
probably equally
full
right
forward, and it's now Jordan Jeffrey. Joel Jeffrey. Joel Jeffrey is going to get the easy goal, and he streams in. Kicks his second, and it's Wanderers getting back a goal that they needed, but it's still St Mary's 5-5, 35 to Wanderers 3-2, 20. 13 minutes gone in the second quarter.
Yeah, and once again, we saw both sides making a little bit of hard work of it when they get inside that forward 50, and it might just be me, but there is a fair bit of overuse of that football. I think you really only got to be looking at one or two possessions and then get it downfield, and classic on centre wing here, where they were trying to... The Eagles had to go right back sort of to the defensive side of the centre wing to actually get the ball forward, and they shouldn't have to do that, but they've come away with a goal in the end.
Tightening up here at Marara Oval. Liam Patrick in the ruck against Maloney. Maloney wins it down, goes to Paredes. He's taken off the footy. Quick kick away by Michael Cooper. Up and under inside 50. Joel Jeffrey the target. Free kick against Tom Davies to go there to Joel Jeffrey.
So the thing there, and we have if you have the fortune of looking back at the replay, the jumper of Jeffrey got well and truly grabbed there, and it flared out a little bit. So I'm not surprised the free kick was paid. Whether or not you can argue whether or not it was actually interfering in the actual contest or not. But either way, Jeffrey goes back, and this is well within his kicking distance.
So Wanderers really making a nice little charge here. They may have the wind going against them, but they are playing a very good quarter indeed. It's only a goal apiece so far, but the screws have tightened to take the advantage in the quarter. Joel Jeffrey with the shot on goal. Great looking kick at goal, and it's hit the post 2/3 of the way up. A behind on the board for the Eagles. They move on to 3-4-22. St Mary's 5-5-35. 15 minutes gone in this second quarter.
Was he celebrating early?
No, I think it was probably fortunate for St Mary's that the 3 shots or 5 shots he's had have been outside the 40, really.
So big kick in from Jake Long. Goes out to the left side and was looking for but couldn't find Paredes. So the ball will be tossed back in.
One of the good things about the play-on rule from full-back is that you actually get a lot of distance. So that ball has travelled about 70 or 80 metres away from the goals, which is great.
Patrick wins it down as he was in front for Wanderers out of the ruck, but it's going to come out in favour of St Mary's, and it's going to be picked up there by Hams. Drops it quickly onto the boot. They're up towards their forward 50 already. Paredes, great handball over without vision of who was there, and it's being picked up by McMurray. And a free kick to McMurray. He was disposed of incorrectly after getting the handball away. And so McMurray, 60 metres out, puts it up to the top of the square, looking for Johnson. Johnson with a big clean hands. He had a metre in front of Brenton Motlop. It's all he needed. And the full forward, he's on a 45-degree angle, 10 metres out from goal, left of the post. And Johnson for St Mary's will be lining up for his second. Brenton Motlop on the mark, but a great bit of vision there for McMurray, honouring that lead for their full forward for the Saints. Johnson comes in 20 metres out, right foot. Oh, and he's hit the post 3/4 of the way up, and he has hit the post, exactly what we saw Joel Jeffrey do at the other end. So St Mary's 36, Palmerston Wanderers 21, 16 minutes gone late in the second quarter.
So the interesting thing there is Motlop, he had a metre on Motlop forward and then a metre in the air on Motlop, and that's just one of the challenges that poor old Brenton's got.
Thomas Motlop now brings the ball back into play. Long kick down towards half-back. Ball comes to Hartung off hands. He's wrapped up in a very good tackle. The umpire says not disposing of the footy. Gee, the umpires are right in the game. Long kick, Drake Thompson up high. Couldn't take the footy. Beautiful tap on there by Daniel Fuller, trying to find Joel Jeffrey. Tackle laid with the man on the ground, and the ball will be held up 5 metres in from the boundary. And we'll have a ball up.
Jordan Jeffrey just getting up there a bit gingerly. Right ankle.
So Larson up against Joel Jeffrey, went without it. Rioli for St Mary's tries to get a handball, but the ball is going back into the middle of the square. No real favour here. Liam Patrick for Wanderers picks it up. Ugly handball. Goes to Salmon. There's about 10 players around the ball. They're directly in the middle. It's Salmon who breaks through the pack, and it's a torpedo. Johnson at the front of the pack can't take it. Wanderers now are trying to come outside their defensive 50, and it will be Nook Mansell, who's a short kick down to Wheatra. He sticks his hands out and tells them all to calm down. And they're on the defensive side on the left. They go into the middle through Wheatra. Oh, nearly wanting to play on there was Totham. He went around Raf Clark. He's taken them up to forward 50. Thomas Motlop for Wanderers. A little up and under looking for Ferreira on his own, but great courageous work there from the St Mary's defenders. Wanderers still not able to get it out. It's now Jacob Long, who was a handball over to the left, and it's St Mary's who, out of some patience, are going to get out of their defensive 50, and they're going to go down the scoreboard wing.
Scoreboard wing it is indeed. Lovely kick there from Jacob Long, finds McMurray. So McMurray on left centre wing. Scoreboard side, Drills a pass in looking for Cullen. Takes the mark. Good build-up thus far. Long kick, terrible off the left boot there by Cullen. Out of bounds on the full in his pursuit of the chest of Johnston. So the Eagles bring the ball back into play straight away. Hoda finds, in fact it might have been Colley, finds Wheatra. Wheatra straight up the middle, finds Joel Jeffrey. Long way from home for him. Comes out wide looking for Cooper, under pressure from Yaron. Ball goes to ground. Cooper's away. Little dinky kick looking for Sedgwick. Picks it up on the first bounce, then drops it. Steps around Jake Long. Has the kick on goal. Looks for Williams. It bounces past him. And Jacob Long slaps it away and out over the boundary line for a boundary throw in deep in the left forward pocket. The shape of that footy, it can kill you, can't it?
Well, the thing is, he had to make an effort at grabbing it because it was never going to roll through anyway the way it sat up. But gee, that was good. Good work by the... I'm just trying to think who the Wanderers players there that stepped around Long. That was good work. Was that Hams?
Sedgwick.
Davies for St Mary's, the only one that allocated he was a ruck, so he's given it to Shannon Rioli. Rioli goes out towards the scoreboard side, but it's Wanderers now with the player advantage. Picked up beautifully one hand by Matthew Motlop. He whirls around, gives it on to Totham, and Totham with the juggle, not able to mark it over in the eastern wing. So it'll be a throw-in, but very bad there from Wanderers inside their forward 50, and they had no allocated ruck.
No, they couldn't get around it. 5-6-36, 3-3-21 inside time on.
Leroy Larson up in the ruck contest against Hood. Hood goes back and has a second crack at it. Got a handball away. Now the handball comes to Colley. Away on his right boot. Long kick up towards half forward. Every player lets it bounce. Parnell charged at it. Couldn't grab it cleanly. Larson's in there. So too is Tipalora. Lays the tackle. And the umpire says, that's okay. I'll take it. Right half forward for the Eagles. 20, almost 21 minutes gone in this second quarter. It's been an arm wrestle and a half. Saints with the wind advantage. Ball comes down here to James Box. Couldn't get rid of it cleanly. Comes out again. Charging at it is Larson. Aimed to get a handball away. There was nobody there for it. The high up and under. And the half-time siren sounds. And both teams will be looking for some cool after a very, very contested second quarter. Score check here at half-time in this round 5 match between Saints and the Eagles. St Mary's lead 5-6-36. Wanderers 3-3-21.
We're here for when the heavens open and the winds howl. We're here for when the water just won't stop. We're here for the wet, and we're here for the dry. We're here because we know there's nowhere else you'd rather be.
And there's nowhere else we'd rather be either. TIO Home Insurance. We're for Territorians.
Absolutely zero.
Zero.
Yeah, definitely.
It has to be zero.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's asking too much.
kilonewton centrifugal force, infrared remote control.
How does he do it?
24.5 kilowatt diesel motor.
He doesn't just know how to operate every piece of Kennard's high gear we get in, but also its service details, its safety checks. I don't know.
It's as if he can hypnotise each piece.
Give me 2 passes with sauce, coffee white with 1 bun with icing, no pink icing.
Yep, no worries, Terry.
Kennard's making job easy.
Time to escape, 'cause I'm in need of warmer weather. Sail upon the stream to find there's someplace better. And I'm going far and wide. Ooh.
Great Northern Brewing Co. The beer from up here.
Boys, we've got a real big problem. It belongs to you, it belongs to me, it belongs to everybody. I'm talking about family violence. It's time we said no more to family violence, isn't it? Yeah. Think about it.
We've all got to say no more to family violence.
No more! Family violence is a community problem and it needs a community response from all of us, and sport is a big part of that. But we can all do our bit by being more respectful to each other. Please make this year the year we say no more to family violence.
Looking for the best and brightest to join your team? At Quality People, we specialise in finding quality, hard-to-get professionals, and we have an office right here in Darwin. Kick your recruitment goals with Quality People. qualitypeople.com.au.
Now that's quality.
You are one of almost 140,000 people living in an area at risk of being affected by a cyclone this wet season. In your cyclone kit, you will need a battery-operated radio and torch with spare batteries, enough food and at least 10 litres of water per person to sustain you and your family for 72 hours or more. Remember, all important documentation such as passports, photos and insurance policies should be kept in a safe and waterproof place. Be prepared this wet season. Brought to you by TIO.
On territory roads, anything can happen, so you need to drive real careful. Dirt roads can be dusty, making it hard to see. Or they can be slippery and you can lose control. When you're not driving on dirt, slow down, will ya? Drive to the conditions and arrive in good condition.
The NTFL clubs and umpires would like to share the following events and messages and thank their sponsors.
Getting my hands on the footy and just being with my mates.
I like being outdoors. It just makes me happy. I don't like it when I get yelled at.
It's pretty embarrassing when someone's shouting at you halfway through the game.
It makes me feel like I'm useless and I can't do anything.
We're just kids.
We're just here to have fun.
Let us do what we love.
Just let kids be kids.
You go home and get your stannies, I'll go home and get my panties, and away we'll go. Oh, shuffle up the buffalo, shuffle up the buffalo. Oh.
Wedding or birthday is coming up? Maybe a get-together with friends and family. Waratah Clubhouse at Gardens Oval is the perfect venue for your next community function. Celebrate in the home to one of Darwin's iconic football clubs, Waratah Clubhouse.
For more information, please visit the relevant club or umpire's Facebook page.
To go to your point, though, he's walked straight into a 2:30 game. It's very humid out there, even with the breeze. I think we're going to see an evening out of the game. What I hope we see more in this third quarter is that it's opened up and we start to see more running, because both sides were really locked into an arm wrestle in that second term.
The voice there of Ashley Manakara. Shannon Byrne in commentary. Joining me is Dominic McCormack, and we are about to get underway for the second half of this round 5 Saturday afternoon clash in the heat of Darwin. St Mary's 5-6-36 leading Wanderers 3-3-21. Both teams back out on the field. Wanderers down at the Michael Long Centre area, just doing a bit of a warm-up. St Mary's are in a tight huddle towards the airport end. They're on the 50-metre mark. And Dom, the clouds are overhead, but the sun keeps poking through. It is a very warm afternoon.
Yes, if you were down in a field in Ballarat or Hobart or something, you'd say the players are over there just trying to keep warm. That's definitely not the case here in Darwin. Both teams now going into their respective huddles. Just some last-minute instructions probably coming in from the captains and the leaders of their group. Very important match, I think, as Ashley touched on right at the beginning of this game. This is really important. You know, pre-Christmas wins in this competition are like gold. They really are. So teams here, you know, Saints, if they win this game, they will only have dropped one match so far in 5 rounds. They will almost have won as many matches as they did for the whole of last season.
Well, they'll go equal, and they'll go top of the ladder. Well, when I say on equal premiership points anyway, percentage will clearly separate them until Nightcliff plays tomorrow against Waratahs, who, in the competition, in the scheme of things in the competition, are probably the unlucky guys within the club comp at the moment, having won and then had the points taken off them, but probably being unlucky against a couple of the sides already. But the thing about the Eagles, there's just as much for the Eagles, because they could end up in third spot on the ladder as well. If they win, they'll jump a couple. So this quarter and this game itself, from premiership points point of view, I've never been a subscriber to the view that there's 2 parts to the season, you know, before Christmas and after. I think all sides want to win games pre-Christmas because it sets them up afterwards for the easy run home.
That's the way.
So the field has just been cleared here at Marara Oval, and there still a couple of kids wanting the last kick of the footy.
Shannon, here's one of the moves already. Jake Long onto the wing right in front of us, manning up on Cooper.
So Jake Long is one of 3 longs in the side, and for Wanderers, Motlops, they have 3. So very famous last names running around here in this game between the Eagles and Saints. About to get underway in the third quarter with Dominic McCormack.
And another move made for St Mary's. Raphael Clark has gone into the ruck. He'll be lining up against Liam Patrick.
Well, Vallejo, I think, wants to inject his players into the game.
Ball tossed high. Clark up against Patrick. Liam Patrick won that down. Sedgwick charged at it. Takes the ball away from midfield. Under pressure there from Jake Long. There'll be a free kick downfield. It will go to Warwick Williams. Right half forward. The late hit from Jake Long, I should say. Warwick Williams, the number 29 on the back. Was a good player last week. Sets the ball up here for Joel Jeffrey. No mark taken. It spills to him. He throws it away. Ball spills clear. Bo O'Connell charges at it. So too Jake Long. Got a handball out. Ball comes to Gilbert. He's picked up and dumped on the ground. Ball spills. Jake Long up and about again. Got a good, nice long kick up towards centre wing away. Larson was in front. Interfered with on that occasion by Jordan Jeffrey, and will take the free kick.
He goes straight down to the lead of Johnson. Johnson, though, overran it, and he pulled back Brenton Motlop, and in the process has given away the free kick to Motlop. Motlop with a quick handball. They go down the commentary wing, but not a good kick, because it's St Mary's now that have all the players and the numbers. The ball given to Gilbert. He's tackled just as he gets a kick away inside their forward 50. Waiting at the back for St Mary's. Shot on goal is McMurray. Turns around, a huge up and under. Running back with the flight of the ball was Johnston, and a free kick given to Johnston after Ferreira, who was running back and has found himself inside the defensive end for Wanderers. Bit of a height difference, and he's hitting with high...
Yeah, he's in jumping, and we don't have a great view from here. We might be fortunate enough to see if there's a replay on the big screen. He has somehow collected Dylan Johnson high, and Johnson will go back and have a shot at goal. he'd be lucky if he's 15 metres out.
Well, they're both going back with the flight of the ball.
Yeah,
so Ferreira, because of the height, has tried to have an air swing at it, and
but he got the footy. He got the footy.
Yeah. So Ferreira's actually not much taller than me, if he's taller than me at all, and I'm not very tall. Let me give you the heads up.
6'2", Ashley.
So Johnston, their full forward, who is tall, goes through, gets an easy goal, and he had a very slight angle, 20 metres out. And Johnston has kicked his second. And so it is St Mary's going against the breeze towards the Michael Long centre, who have got the first goal. It is Saints 6-6-42, Wanderers 3-3-21. 2 minutes gone in the third term.
Well, that's one of those coach killers, that decision. And look, there was nothing in it. Play on.
And umpire was right on the spot. Yeah. Perfect position.
Yeah, he probably was a fraction too close, to be honest with you, which is... if you're 15 to 20, you actually interpret the free kick a little bit differently, and it's the way you coach. So, it's play on. Well, anyway, not then. Free kick.
Not on
goal.
that occasion. And to the left of your radio continues to be the scoring end. Raphael Clark in the ruck contest manages to get it away. Handball came from Paredes. Found Jake Long. Got a handball away. Cooper ran in beautifully. Got a handball away to McLean. McLean to Matthew Motlop. Back to McLean. Wrapped up in a tackle by Shannon Rioli. Gathers the ball at centre wing. Steps inside as he often does. Goes by hand to Kieran Parnell. Away now on the right boot. Long kick down centre wing. No mark taken. Leroy Larson on the charge here against Daniel Wheatra. Wheatra got the ball away initially, but Saints come in numbers close to the boundary line. The Eagles now look to take the ball out, and that man again on this occasion, I was going to say Daniel Wheatra. I think it might have been Matthew Motlop taking that footy out. Wheatra the first time. It was indeed. What a defender he is. Such a great player. Now a boundary throw-in. Half forward for St Mary's.
And it's an ugly throw-in, so we'll take it back.
Yeah, well called on that occasion by the central umpire.
Yeah, slipped and went out. I've got to say to you, the boundary umpires, their possessions this game so far, 2.5 quarters in, would be just as high as any player, because the ball's been out of bounds a fair bit in this game.
Clark up against Patrick. Patrick at the front, no real clear advantage. Is now trying to get out from St Mary's, and the ball up hasn't gone very far at all. 5 players around the ball, and it will be given to the umpire. On the bottom of the pack there for St Mary's was Hams. Tossed up quickly, and there is a pack of players, about 10 players over on the right. And it's still play on. Players are just standing around asking for a decision. The 10 players stood. Liam Patrick was asking the umpire for a decision, and the umpire in the end, and he's wearing number 14, and John Rothorn, who's making his debut, has called a holding the ball. So Wanderers from the left back pocket, just on their 50, goes down the wing, and it is a dropped mark there from Wanderers Williams, directly under the scoreboard. Actually, that was remarkable. There was 10 players that stopped there.
Yeah, it is, and I can assure you John would have been telling him, knock it out, play on, keep it moving, and they didn't.
Boundary throw in now. Raphael Clark wins it down. Paredes couldn't quite find the handle. Sedgwick in there. He can. On the left boot. Drives it long. Target Warwick Williams. Finds his chest this time. And this time he hangs on. Wheels around quickly. Good long kick. Clearly Joel Jeffrey being held onto. He's missed the footy twice. Gets it on the third occasion. Kicks it through for a goal.
Well, just be a bit of a console, but clearly it's a goal.
Clearly it's a goal. Well done to Joel Jeffrey. He was being held on to. I don't know how the free kick wasn't paid in the first place.
No, it was, and he just played on.
Played on, and he's kicked through for a goal. So Joel Jeffrey, the quick answer. He's kicked a goal in the first quarter, a goal in the second quarter, and now he's third at the beginning of this third quarter. So having a very good game, Joel Jeffrey. St Mary's in the lead, 6-6-42. Wanderers, they're hanging about 4-3-27 at the 6-minute mark of this third quarter.
Joel Jeffrey clearly keeping them in the game at the moment, and he's kicked pretty much all of their score. The only other goal scorer is Davin Ferreira. But they make a little bit of hard work. It's not pretty football the way they're getting it inside the 50, but they are doing it. And both sides are getting it forward, but it's not being done in a real pretty way.
Clark up against Patrick. Clark wins it down. Jake Long now in the middle for St Mary's. Kick forward to St Mary's. Inside their forward 50. Foot race on here. And it's Wheatra who kicks it to his advantage. Now picks it up. Gives a handball over the top. Gets it back to Wheatra. Oh, big tackle by Yaron. Wasn't able to stick it second time though. He's dispossessed him. So for McMurray from Saints, trying to go back. Whirling around on the right is Hartung. And he has gone through for a behind, but a great tackle of Yaron on what could have been a potential Wheatra just to get it out easily.
Bit of overuse there.
Yeah.
Bit of overuse in the defensive line. I don't know why you just wouldn't put on the boot, get it out of the 50.
Brenton Motlop now called to play on from full-back. Looks to come long. Target will be Hood. To go up with him, Jake Long. And Jake Long, an undisciplined shove in the back. And the free kick straight away to go to Ashley Hood. One of the easiest calls of the afternoon, I dare say. Hood to go long, goes towards Ferreira, off hands, Wanderers in numbers, surging at the footy. Thomas Motlop just couldn't get a hold of it to slap it forward, and it's tumbled over the line by Adam Parry for St Mary's.
A lot of players with their hands on their hips. This is whether that would be zapping or already zapped the energy from all of these players. 7 minutes gone in the third quarter. Maloney up in the ruck against Hood. Tossed in by the 14-year-old on debut on the boundary, Cooper. He's doing a brilliant job, the youngster, and the ball doesn't go too far after it hits Hood, and it is going to be tossed back up. They're directly in front of St Mary's interchange on this commentary wing. Maloney taps it down, and this goes to St Mary's. The advantage there. Paredes kicks it down to Clark, and Clark has been held by Jordan Jeffrey. So he's very ginger to his feet there, Raphael Clark. He's the attacking side of the western wing of the centre square. Ugly kick inside the 4 and 50. Quickly picked up by Wanderers, though chopped off by Yaron. Saints now still with the ball. Can they clear it out? They've got the numbers, though. Wanderers kicked out of the air and cleverly, but only as far as Paredes. And Paredes for St Mary's will take him inside their forward 50. Looking for Johnston on the lead. Johnston out in front of Brenton Motlop. Not able to take the mark. Two St Mary's players run into each other. It gives time for Wanderers defenders to pick it up. Now it is Matthew Motlop. Handballs it to Jordan Jeffrey. He goes out to the left, trying to find the run of Tipalura, who we haven't called too much of at the moment. And the ball is taken out by Jacob Long, and it is over on the eastern wing, 60 metres out from St Mary's goal.
Well, 27 plays 43, but you just get the feeling that Saints are maintaining control, and they're doing it across their midfield.
Heath Maloney, good tap out, goes straight to Gilbert, wheels around on that famous left foot. Good kick to McMurray, ducked the head at the last moment. Wheatra did well to put pressure on him. No mark taken. The handball went back to Mansell. Mansell on the left boot finds the chest of Jacob Long. It's a player down for Saints.
Yaron
down.
Looks like he's holding his shoulder there.
And Jacob Long with his nice little chip goes out the side and finds Baxter Slater. So Baxter Slater from right half forward.
I think they've got to hold the ball up because it's right 40 metres out directly in front. And so he's holding his left shoulder, Yaron. And a lot of the trainers are just over to Yaron, who's getting very slowly to his feet, just holding his left shoulder, which does have strapping on it, but half of it's come undone. He's now in the hands of the trainer. And not a good look because he is coming off and he has got a look of pain on his face. A very slow trudge here for Yaron for St Mary's.
And the trainer's grabbing him on the sore shoulder, so that makes sense.
That wouldn't help him at all. Baxter Slater with the long kick now. Down towards Raphael Clark. Grabbed it on the second bite. No mark, says the umpire. Gilbert goes forward again. Spears a pass in towards Maloney. Off his chest goes to Shannon Rioli. Handballs to the advantage there initially of Box. Falls to Paredes. He snaps on goal. High up and under Johnston. The ball just held up in the breeze. Defender did not go for it. Johnston kept his eyes on it, extended the arms, took the grab. The man on the mark, 3 metres in from the boundary, deep in the left forward pocket. He's only about 15 metres from goal and says that he will be going for the snap. Again, Wheatra arguing with the umpire as to where he should be on the mark. Johnston wheels around, spins it through the banana for a goal, and he continues to challenge Joel Jeffrey. He's kicked his third, one in the second, and now two in this all-important third quarter. St Mary's, they move on to 7-7-49. Wanderers 4-3-27.
Well, he's proving to be quite the difference, simply, I think, because of his height. And the Eagles haven't got a defender that they can afford to put on him, because apart from Jeffrey, Jordan Jeffrey, that is, they don't have a defender of anywhere near that level of height that could actually match him. You suppose he could go with Tyrell.
Tyrell Louis?
Yeah, you could go with Tyrell Louis, but he seems to be standing with Salmon. And that's the challenge, I think, for the Eagles. Height for height, they're going to have a problem up forward, and Johnson's exploiting it at the moment. 3 goals to him.
Hood going up against Maloney. Direct sunlight. Thomas Motlop shielding his hand as he's now back in the middle. 1 down by Wanderers. They go through their forward 50, and a huge fly from Joel Jeffrey, but it's actually fallen out of the pack, and it's O'Connell who's gone over. He tried to square it up, probably should have gone for goal because there was no one in front of him. Now it's St Mary's who are going to come out of their defensive 50, and it will be Jack Long who goes over to the right. It's Maloney in front. He pushes off Hood. Handball goes only towards their player in Parry. Parry kicks it down and finds Raf Clark. He's juggled mark is dropped in the end, and it's going to go back right under the scoreboard on the eastern wing to Shannon Rioli. Great piercing kick, finds a teammate. He comes in board, picks out Gilbert. Gilbert's got time, whirls around onto the left, looking for Jake Long, finds him as well on the attacking side of the centre square. Slight angle, he goes in board. There's a number of St Mary's players free inside the forward 50, and Jack Long with great vision goes into, there was 3 St Mary's players that were free, picks out Slater, probably the best option. He'll be directly in front, 35 metres out.
Yeah, and isn't that a total mix of fortunes? I don't know what's going on with young people these days, but in my day, Bo O'Connell, I would have had a shot. And probably would have had a shot from in worse positions than that. Slater comes in, 35 out.
Kicks it. It is an ugly looking kick off the boot, and it has just gone to the left. It nearly went out and missed everything. So it is St Mary's 7-8-50 to Wanderers 4-3-27.
Jake Long proving his worth there. I mean, Villagio, the coach of St Mary's, doing a great job in getting his player injected into the game, and Long actually doing that.
Long, speaking of Long, that's a great long kick out from Daniel Wheatra, and it finds a Long in Jacob at centre wing. What a kick out it was. He goes straight to Raphael Clark, back into Tom Gilbert. He runs inside 50, about to be chased down. No, he won't. Has a helicopter kick at goal, and it is through for a goal. Signal. Tom Gilbert, what a left foot he has. And St Mary's, they are edging away here with 3 third quarter goals to 1. 14 and a half minutes gone. They move on to 8-8-56. Wanderers 4-3-27.
And that's a 29-point lead at the moment. So they have come out of the blocks in that third quarter there, Ashley.
They have, and they've doubled the margin. Premiership doubled the margin from half time, but Premiership quarter, and what you are seeing now is, and again, you know, that Michael Long learning centre end is actually it's not the scoring end, but it is today.
Is the scoring end.
Because the breeze.
Wow.
Look, if you saw the flags here at TIO, they're blowing straight out to the right, which is airport end.
Patrick in the ruck for Wanderers, huge tap, and it is going to be a free kick. Wow. Ferreira has taken a St Mary's player in Slater very high at the defensive side of their centre square. They go out to the right, St Mary's. Great tackle by Liam Patrick. Ball spills out. Still in favour of St Mary's. A big up and under, but 2 Wanderers players are out in front, and that is Jordan Jeffrey spins around. He goes down the commentary wing, and there's no Wanderers player in sight, but it is an ugly bounce there for St Mary's Parnell, and it's a bit of luck there for Wanderers.
I reckon Ferreira's actually, I reckon the MRP is going to have a look at that in terms of that tackle. I know it was a free kick, but I still think the MRP will go back and have a look at that, because that was a big hit.
Boundary throw in now. Liam Patrick manages to get a fingernail to it. Comes back to Baxter Slater, who again is taken down in a tackle. There was an errant kick before from Jacob Long, which really set Saints on the back foot. Wanderers now at half forward rather than being in their defensive 50. Nice slap away from Liam Patrick again. Marcus Totham couldn't handle. Players diving in on the footy. The umpire's going to nail whoever that was that jumped in on the footy. So St Mary's lose on that occasion. Marcus Totham comes away with the free. Handball out wide and a beautiful kick onto the chest of Ferreira. Sliding in on the second grab, he took the mark, but he was over the boundary line. So will be a boundary throw in. 25 around.
In fact, it's been paid as out of bounds on the full.
Well, if it's out of bounds on the full, it's a St Mary's free kick.
St Mary's kick.
Absolute confusion here. That clearly was a juggled mark over the line.
Well, it might well have already been out by the time...
and so he has to turn it over.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, that's almost a 50, I'd say to you. I would argue that is almost a 50.
Very rarely paid these days, I think. Very rarely. So Jacob Long has a chance here to just fix up his kick from moments ago. Free kick deep in the back pocket, high up and under. The breeze holds it up. Parry flies at it. The ball falls to Sedgwick, does really well. I like him as a player. Comes back here to Jordan Jeffrey. His kick, the up and under. Leroy Larson, in fact, it was Gilbert, flew high. Off hands again, it comes to the Eagles. Beautiful kick finds Thomas Motlop on the paint of 50. Gets back quickly. He's a good player. Warwick Williams goes on the lead. Thomas Motlop steps inside an opponent, has his kick on goal, and it fades away to the left for a behind. So after all of that, Wanderers score a point.
No, it's out of bounds. So no score at all.
Everything.
No, very disappointing. That's a very disappointing passage of play because the Eagles had worked hard enough to actually get something out of that.
And Parnell runs a long way to get it outside the defensive 50. Wanderers, though, with the numbers, but now it's St Mary's inside their defensive 50 who are actually going to clear great pressure from behind from Cooper. Still at the top of the 50-metre mark. Defensively, it's the St Mary's who are going to pick up the ball through Yaron. Yaron comes out to the right looking for Salmon. He leads in the foot race, takes a bounce, if you don't mind, in front of Fuller. But Fuller with the great pressure, and it has gone to the lap of Cooper.
No, has to come back to a free kick for Joseph Salmon.
Yeah.
Slung after he disposed it.
Out of zone paid.
So Salmon runs around the mark of... Fuller goes towards the forward 50. Johnston a long way from goals, can't pick it up. It's Wanderers now who have the numbers. Sedgwick running in the middle of the park with Matthew Motlop. He gets a kick inside the forward 50, looking for Joel Jeffrey. He's at the back, but it's now dropping down, still in favour for it's Cooper or Dre Thompson. It's got the carry, but it doesn't have the accuracy, so it goes to the left, and it's Wanderers who still trailed. 19 minutes gone in the third quarter. Wanderers 4-5-29 to St Mary's 8-8-56.
Jacob Long brings the ball back into play, goes long towards the St Mary's clubhouse end, finds the safe hands there of Tom Davies. Brings the ball inboard, goes to Larson. Haven't called much of Leroy Larson this afternoon. His kick is poor over the head of his co-captain there in Shannon Rioli. Goes to a teammate in Parnell. Needs to get on his bike. Gives a handball away to Box. Box quickly. Kick inside 50. Target there was to be Johnston, but the ball held up and well read by Daniel Fuller. Took the mark on his chest and now gives by hand back to McLean.
McLean with an ugly kick along the ground. It's now gone to the favour. It went through the legs. It was such an ugly kick of O'Connell. So Yaron has a heavily strapped left shoulder, or re-strapped left shoulder. He's on the left at the forward 50 looking for the lead of Clark, but it's chopped off by Wanderers defenders. He had two defenders on him. And it's going to be a throw-in in the left forward pocket for St Mary's. And it is at about 10 metres around from the left goal post. So Johnston and Fuller going up. Left forward pocket in favour. Johnston catches it from behind, tries to snap it out of the pack. It's a big up and under, and it's going to be caught easily by Wheatra. He gets a looping handball over to Motlop. He holds it up. Under pressure is Wheatra, who was running through, and now it's St Mary's that have turned it over in the middle of the park. Shannon Rioli goes back to his teammate in Box. Now, very ugly play late in this third quarter. No one really able to clearly pick it up now. St Mary's try to pick it up, and it's going to be a free kick. And that's going to go in favour of Wanderers. It looked like a raised elbow there.
It did. I think you'll find it'll go.
No?
Yeah, it will. It go to the Eagles. Again, it was an out-of-zone free kick. So good out-of-zone free kick by umpire Rawsall. Then he's paid 2 now. And that was a high fend.
Long kick down inside, attacking 50 for the Eagles. Comes off hands, and that's a high tackle. Warwick Williams is taken high. Leroy Larson it was.
I tell you, there's going to have to be, the umpires are going to have to, how can I put this? There's blood rule now. There's a blood rule in the middle, so the game won't restart with that. And it was the player that got taken down in the fend. I can't quite see who that was. But there's been a couple of these incidents now in this term. We're well and truly into time on at 21.5 minutes. Umpires might just want to start paying a few free kicks and just to settle them down. Just towards the end of this quarter.
Is on Edward Colley.
Blood just coming from his mouth.
Yep.
Well, he was well and truly cleaned up, so I'd say that'll be looked at as well. And I think the incident then with Leroy Larson will also be looked at closely.
So Warwick Williams now left of centre will kick from outside 50. Leroy Larson on 49 metres. Kick on its way. Will make the distance easily. And he's kicked it through for a behind to the right. So Saints to take the footy here. Jake Long will take it. Little chip goes to Davies in the back pocket. His kick clears the head of a teammate there in Will Hams. Gathers. Nice kick finds Yaron. So Yaron back on the ground after that shoulder injury. He went back off, had it strapped. Back out again. Comes backwards here to Jake Long. Drops a mark he should have taken in defence. Has to go backwards here to Jordan Cullen. His kick holds up in the breeze, goes to Kieran Parnell. Good pressure put on by Cooper. Parnell good enough to regather, goes towards Larson. He's taken in a good tackle, flicks the ball out the back. Ball taken by O'Connell. O'Connell gets it away to Cooper. Cooper just tosses the ball up in the air. Clear throw. Comes to Paredes. Steps around. Little dinky kick. Not sure what he was trying to do there. Coming through strongly is Gilbert. Gets onto the left boot. High up and under here. Goes towards half forward for St Mary's. The Eagles charging at it. They all went at it. Quinn stayed on the ground for Saints. Goes to Paredes. His long kick. Ball holds up. Johnston. Ball knocked away from him by Motlop. McMurray gathers. 15 metres out. Snaps on goal. Couldn't make the distance. Jacob Long shoved over as he went for the mark. The ball out of bounds. Boundary throw in deep in the left forward pocket.
Well, both sides prepared to go at the ball there and quite hard at it, but as a consequence, no one able to get clean possession. So hurrying that ball forward.
As the ball was tossed up, Johnston and Patrick just let that drop to the ground. Siren sounds here for three-quarter time. St Mary's 8-8-56 leading Wanderers 4-5-29.
We're here for when the heavens open and the winds howl. We're here for when the water just won't stop. We're here for the wet, and we're here for the dry. We're here because we know there's nowhere else you'd rather be.
And there's nowhere else we'd rather be either. TIO Home Insurance. We're for Territorians.
So we can feel wherever you feel together, real together. No one can stop. No one can stop. Nothing can ever bring me
Mother Nature can be frighteningly predictable in the Territory this time of year. Heavy rains and damaging winds can cause significant problems and disruption, particularly if you're unprepared, while downed power lines and flash flooding can be lethal. To ensure you're ready, visit powerwater.com.au/safety or text SAFETY to 0428 323 991 for more information. Because staying safe and ready around Mother Nature should be second nature.
CFS Schoolwear is the perfect choice for quality custom-made school uniforms. Ideal clothing for all school-related activities, whether it's 50 or 500 students, we have what you need. Contact the Cricket and Football Shop NT for your free CFS Schoolwear quote today.
Let's see. Roma, Verona?
Perhaps Barcelona.
Make your dream holiday a reality. Book your next getaway at Flight Centre with interest-free holidays and flexible repayment options.
Best in the air.
And everywhere.
Flight Centre.
Intersport, new concept store now open in Casuarina Square. Come in and check out a world-class shopping experience.
Dedicated sports zones.
Now stocking only the biggest brands in tennis, cricket, fitness from treadmills to benches, boxing, swimming, darts, pool and table tennis. For awesome service and advice, still locally owned and operated, the all-new Intersport concept store.
Now open at Casuarina Square.
Boys, we've got a real big problem. It belongs to you, it belongs to me, it belongs to everybody. I'm talking about family violence. It's time we said no more to family violence, isn't it? Yeah. Think about it.
We've all got to say no more to family violence.
No more!
Family violence is a community problem and it needs a community response from all of us, and sport is a big part of that. But we can all do our bit by being more respectful to each other. Please make this year the year we say no more to family violence.
You are one of almost 140,000 people living in an area at risk of being affected by a cyclone this wet season. In your cyclone kit, you will need a battery-operated radio and torch with spare batteries, enough food and at least 10 litres of water per person to sustain you and your family for 72 hours or more. Remember, all important documentation such as passports, photos and insurance policies should be kept in a safe and waterproof place. Be prepared this wet season. Brought to you by TIO.
Scoring end.
So nice moment there. St Mary's have broken out of the huddle. Xavier Clark is talking to his brother Raphael Clark, and a lot of discussion and hand movements there. So getting a little bit of advice from the now Richmond assistant coach. If I was Raph Clark, would you be taking it on, or is it just brotherly love?
Well, I reckon his brother's asking him why he keeps dropping the mark. So I don't not that Raph's done that, but I'm just saying to you, the way the movements was, come on, mate.
Say, Raph, come on.
What's going on?
Get a kick.
You're supposed to hold them. But you know, he's actually had a great battle today with Jordan Jeffrey, and Jordan hasn't really given him an inch. And again, it's that we talked about it before the end of the third quarter. That's the challenge for the Eagles. They don't have much tall timber there once Jordan steps away from Raph Clark. So you couldn't put him back onto Dylan Johnson, who has kicked 3 also for St Mary's at full forward. So what are your other options? You don't really have any.
The voice of Ashley Manakaris there. I'm Shannon Byrne, and to get us underway for the final term is Dominic McCormack.
St Mary's hold a 27-point lead at the beginning of this last quarter. Maloney goes up in ruck, has 2 cracks at it. Drake Thompson comes through strongly in the midfield. Free kick given, and the free kick goes to Sedgwick here. No, in fact, it goes to Yaron. Yaron was dropped on the deck by Sedgwick, so Yaron drives the ball inside 50 to Johnston. That was just too easy. Out on the lead, Hoda was chasing him, but he had 5 metres on him, and Brenton Motlop was still back in the goal square. So the big man, 3 goals to his name, has an opportunity, just as he did in the third quarter, to kick the first goal of the quarter.
That was a great lead. And he was rewarded for the effort that he put in there.
Terrific kick from Yaron. Didn't have to break stride.
No.
So left of centre, 45-degree angle. He'll have to trot over the number 50 as he does now. Kick on its way. The high up and under. He started at left and it stays left. So we're behind the first score in this last quarter. St Mary's 8-9, 57. Wanderers 4-5, 29.
So Wheatra to bring it back in for Wanderers. He comes down the left and it just sits up beautifully for Hoda. Just not still outside their forward 50, their defensive 50. He kicks it onto the man of the mark in Jake Long. So good pressure there from St Mary's. They've held the ball and it is about 70 metres away from the St Mary's goal. There'll be a toss-up between Hood and Maloney. Hood for Wanderers, trying to get around Maloney. Maloney just taps it back, goes down to the advantage of Hams. Now it's Wanderers trying to get it out, but Yaron comes through the pack, held on by Hood. He's still got a handball away, and the ball just goes over the boundary line. But Yaron has picked up where he left off in this third quarter. He's in everything.
He's been he's been good. He's been particularly good out of the centre clearances, and he's given them options. At the front of the contest.
Boundary throw in, free kick given away by Maloney for a Shepherd. So his opposition ruckman will take it in. Ashley Hood goes the dinky little kick here, looking for a teammate in Tyrell Louis. Again, close to the boundary. Louis couldn't take the mark, and under pressure, he's put the mark down. Ball out over that boundary line. They'll do it again. Just to the right of our commentary box, right half forward for St Mary's, kicking towards the airport end in his last quarter. To the right of your radio. Boundary throw-in's a good one. Maloney and Hood. Hood takes it out of the air, gets a quick kick away. Wasn't very far by way of distance. Now picked up by Colley. Got a handball away. Sedgwick charging through. Bo O'Connell charging through. He got a long kick away up towards Joel Jeffrey. Pressure on here between Jeffrey and Davies. Clearly taken over by Jeffrey. Not called by the boundary umpire. Long kick into the corridor. Davin Ferreira with an opportunity. Being pursued by Cullen. Gets around him. Nice little kick and finds Dre Thompson. Just to the right of centre. Will kick from 48 metres out. Jacob Long has marked the mark, but Heath Maloney will stand the mark. So Dre Thompson, good player.
Is this within his range? I haven't seen him this far out have a shot.
Yeah, I think it might be. Whether he's really confident is another thing.
Well, one thing we do know is that in the third quarter, when the ball was put up in the air, it stayed up. So we'll see what happens if he sets it up high.
He drives hard at it. It's now held up. Touch on the hand there of Liam Patrick, and Jack Long makes sure that it's pushed through for a behind. So Wanderers 4-6-30, St Mary's 8-9, 57, 4 minutes gone in this last quarter.
And Jack Long decides to go down to the left. He's got a booming kick, and in this breeze, that's gone 70 metres over everybody that was there. And at the back was Maloney, but it's now Jordan Jeffrey, big up and under for Wanderers. Will it go inside their forward 50? It just will, but it is a mark taken by O'Connell. O'Connell finds Joel Jeffrey on a lead directly in front of goal, hits him on the chest, honours it beautifully, and he's going to kick 40 metres directly in front. And you'd have to say both full forwards today are having the ball delivered well, but more importantly, they're producing good leads. So Joel Jeffrey for Wanderers.
And once again, Shannon, he's having a shot from outside that 40, which is, I think, about on the edge of the range when you're kicking into a breeze like this.
He'll be directly in front, so it'll be the distance that only gets him. He leans back, and it's held up in the breeze, but it just goes over. And he gets high fives from a number of players. They needed that response, Wanderers, and they go to 5-6-36, and St Mary's 8-9, 57. And Wanderers, through Joel Jeffrey, he's kicked his fourth.
And good service out of Joel Jeffrey today. But I got to say to you, the full credit to the St Mary's defender. Like, he's kicked that goal from outside 40, and they've really made him earn his kicks in that range and made him earn everything he's got so far today, apart from the free kick, which was only about 15 metres out. And thankfully, they've actually got a scoring avenue. So that's why I say to you, the Eagles aren't out of this entirely just yet.
Ball tossed high. Leroy Larson up in the ruck against Fuller. Neither can win it cleanly. Ball comes out near Yarran, taken by Thomas Motlop. He gets a kick inside 50. Bounces to Parry for St Mary's. Handballs backwards to Davies. In fact, it's Cullen. He gets a quick dinky little kick away. Goes to Slater. Slater, good use of the footy. Finds Quinn with pace. Quinn, the little kick up towards Salmon. Clearly held by Totham. Was play on was the call initially, then the call for a hold. So Salmon, right half forward, about 10 metres in from the boundary line, will take the free kick, goes and plays on, goes backwards and finds Jake Long. He plays on immediately, has the ball stripped from him by Cooper. Yarran picks up, little kick from him goes to Gilbert. Finds Jake Long. This time he kicks quickly. Long down towards Johnston. Ball went through his hands. Tackles Motlop. Ball spills. Cullen gathers. In fact, it's Slater. And a free kick paid. Play on is the call. No, it's not. The ball does go through for a goal, but Baxter Slater will have to come back and take a free kick.
Jake Long just coming off here through the interchange. Looked a little bit ginger on the right foot when he did that. That high tackle there, a bit unfortunate for the Eagles player as the Saints player was actually going to ground. The free kick was there, well paid. And Jake Long is going straight in to see the trainers and into the cold room.
So Baxter Slater, 45-degree angle. Distance of about 30 metres. Joel Jeffrey kicking a goal moments ago for Wanderers. Can Slater reply? Kicks on goal and puts it through the middle. Baxter Slater hits the scoreboard for the first time this afternoon. And Saints go back out again. 9-9-63 playing Wanderers. 5-6-36. We've gone 7.5 in the last quarter.
Well, in the context of this game, that's a very important goal. And it came about through the effort of young Joseph Salmon and combining with Jake Long. And even though they made a little bit of hard work of it on, they were a bit fortunate perhaps to get the free kick. The player was going to ground, but the goal, the free kick was there, the goal was there, and that may have stopped a little bit of momentum the Eagles were starting to get up, which is a bit unfortunate for the Eagles. But they have a chance here in the middle now to reset. So 36 plays 63.
Patrick in the ruck for Wanderers had a long discussion with Thomas Motlop. He's going to go up against Larson from St Mary's. Patrick wins it easily. Larson's didn't go up. Down to Matthew Motlop. He kicks it up and under. Trying to make it inside the forward 50. Ugly bounce for the Wanderers player in Colley. Colley goes to full forward and Joel Jeffrey in front. Oh, crashes into a Saints defender who's still down on the ground. And it is St Mary's who are going to come out from their right back pocket. They come down to the commentary wing and Gilbert has been wrapped up but has been taken high. So Gilbert for St Mary's. Oh, is not going to get up very quickly. And it is Liam Patrick who has to stand the mark after he caught Gilbert high. Gilbert goes very short. Quickly to Hams. Hams just holds it up, nothing going forward, still holding the ball up on the commentary wing, and he goes down on the left foot trying to find Raphael Clark at the back. He overran it. It's Matthew Motlop from Wanderers that's going to pick it up. He gets rid of Salmon, looks for Patrick down in the commentary wing. Patrick looking for a free player, goes an ugly kick back into the middle of the park, makes poor Colley do a mountain of work. He juggles the ball, drops it. St Mary's box is able to kick it forward. Brenton Motlop comes outside the forward 50. He gets it over towards the scoreboard. Thompson picks it up. He's able to go down the scoreboard end looking for Thomas Motlop. He handballs it back to Tipalura. Tipalura handballs it to Thompson, held it up well. Thompson attacking side of the centre square, and at the back Ferreira just nudged his defender. Snap on goal from the right forward pocket, he's kicked it. Oh, Ferreira out of nothing, slight angle right forward pocket, and Ferreira has kicked his second for the evening. The Wanderers needed that in response, and Wanderers 6-6-42, trailing St Mary's 9-9-63, 3 goals in it.
Well, Brenton Motlop backed himself there from the back half as Ferreira beautifully positioned himself to as the ball came over the top, and then backed himself with the shot on goal because he had Joel Jeffrey that he could have handballed over the top to run into an open. But Motlop at the back end of in defence backed himself, left Dylan Johnson and left Braden McLean one out back there, and they managed to get it forward up on that scoreboard wing. and came away with the points in the end.
Liam Patrick up in ruck now against Leroy Larson. Larson got a fist to it, hit it to the advantage, however, of the Eagles, and gathering it was Thomas Motlop. Kicked down towards centre half back, almost taken by Jack Long. Great tackle laid here by Warwick Williams. Kicks on goal and misses to the left. Opportunity there for the Eagles. Gee, that would have made it very interesting if he'd kicked that. A point on the board, 6-7. 43, Saints 9-9-63, 20 points the margin. We've gone 11 minutes in the last quarter.
So 3 goals in it, enough time for Wanderers. Jack Long kicks it down the left, but it's been picked off by Tipalura for Wanderers. He's 70 metres from goal. He's been told to kick it long, but he's able to pick out a player in Hood. Hood was unmarked. He goes to the right pocket, but Yarra is closing, and it is Ferreira who catches it on the chest. Right forward pocket against the breeze. Wanderers looking to go back-to-back goals for some time in this match. They trail by 20 points. To say this goal is much needed is an understatement. 11 minutes gone in the final term, and if Ferreira can kick this from the right forward pocket 40 metres out, then it will bring the margin back to 14 points.
And Ferreira's only one of 2 of the Eagles' goal kickers. Joel Jeffrey has 4 for the day, and Ferreira has 2, and he's lining up for his third.
And he's kicked it. Ferreira has kicked it. His teammates on the goal line loved it. So Ferreira has kicked back-to-back goals from the right forward pocket, and more importantly, it has given Wanderers a sniff of hope here. 14 points. They trail by St Mary's, 12 minutes gone in the final term.
Well, you could argue there's plenty of time left if they can keep the momentum, and what is setting them up actually is the centre clearances. Liam Patrick's move into the ruck has worked well for them. He's getting first use of the football, and then they're working very hard. Thomas Motlop and the other young Motlop was in there as well, getting the ball out. So they've set this up 14 points. There's still at least 10 minutes in this game to go so far. Ferreira now has 3. Joel Jeffrey has 4, and they've been the 2 goal scorers.
Raphael Clark wins the ruck contest on this occasion against Liam Patrick. The ball went to Paredes. Paredes gets a handball away under pressure from Thomas Motlop. Gets a handball away to Jake Long, who doesn't look as though he's moving too well out there. Collie got a good kick away. Blocked off here by the Saints defence. Hams comes away with it. Long left foot kick up towards centre half forward. Larson shoved out of the contest. Shannon Rioli tracking the footy. Flips it out the back to the advantage of Larson. Gets it back to Gilbert. He's just been in everything, Tom Gilbert. He's high up and under. Looking down there for Johnston. Couldn't take the mark. Tries to clear a path. Spillage. Ball in the goal square. Handball comes. Handball comes from Hartung to Johnston. Johnston kicks it from 3 metres out. Saints a much needed goal.
Great handball there, good awareness, and Johnson read that play beautifully to realise that they didn't need 3 or 4 players chasing the ball, and he gets his 4th to become the major goal scorer for St Mary's and to consolidate his position as the major goal scorer in this game so far. But what was good about it was he didn't go and chase the football, just hung out the side and out it came.
Well, news just coming through thanks to Gray Morris from the NT News. Wait for it. Tiwi Bombers have defeated Palmerston by 1 point in pouring rain, and Cyril Rioli, I'm being told, was brilliant. So there you go. The Tiwi Bombers have taken the win, and Cirioli's debut for Tiwi Bombers. And a high one there in the centre square going to St Mary's Hams. Hams goes out to the left, going towards and finding not Johnston. It's been cut off by his own teammate. Too many options there for St Mary's in the forward line. So St Mary's are going to be able to respond with back-to-back goals. And it is Larson. He's been playing more so in the ruck, but this is going to be a good opportunity for Larson. He's gone a long way back. He's directly in front, 40 metres out, but he's going to run over the 50-metre paint now. He can come a long way in if he wants, but he's opting to kick from 45 metres out. He's kicked it. He's got the breeze. He's got the carry, and he's got the accuracy. So Larson has got the back-to-back goal after Johnston kicked an easy one in the goal square. Larson takes that lead back out to a comfortable one for St Mary's. 10-9-69, Wanderers 7-7-49.
Actually, the score's just moved then. Sorry, 11-9-75 to 7-7-49. Margin just getting away a little bit from the Eagles there. We're 15.5 minutes into this final term. That was the problem with that's the problem with St Mary's. They can rebound just as quickly, and again it was out of that middle. It was a free kick, but Larson just happened to be in the right place as that ball dropped short.
Ball back in the middle now. Raphael Clark to go up against Liam Patrick. Patrick flies high up onto the chest of Clark. Got a nice tap away. Thomas Motlop gets a boot to it from midfield. Out there towards Bo O'Connell and Dre Thompson. Salmon was in there, couldn't handle it cleanly. Long kick comes down towards the goal square. Salmon still down at half back. Fighting for it hard is Davin Ferreira, close to the boundary line. He was tackled initially there by Davies, couldn't hang on to him. Jake Long goes in again, so too there Joel Jeffrey unloads with the banana and doesn't set it up for his teammates and kicks it out of bounds on the full. Jack Long did brilliantly there to lay the 2 tackles that he did, and he now takes the free kick from the out of bounds on the full kick, deep in the left back pocket.
Play will stop there. Joseph Salmon is still on the ground. The trainer getting to him from St Mary's now. Umpire's also on the spot, signalling a stop in play, because if the ball's kicked back in, it could end up there.
He's not looking too good there, Shannon, is he?
No,
he's looking a bit groggy there.
Just grabbing at the left
ankle?
hip or the left side of the body. Anyway, can't put any weight on his left leg, so they're going to play on, but might even be just a cork, because he was holding the top of his left hip, so he's going to come from the field. Play on now down on the left wing, and it's St Mary's who have had the ball chopped off. So Wanderers through Patrick, they get a handball. They're going to go down the right wing, coming inside their forward 50. Ugly kick to Joel Jeffrey, but it's still in dispute. St Mary's under a lot of pressure, the defenders, and it's Joel Jeffrey that's able to pick it up. Thomas Motblock with a big quick handball out, but it only as far as a St Mary's player, and it's a thumping kick down, and it's going to be taken by Hart Tongue. He's got on 2 Wanderers players, but Shannon Rioli comes and helps. Shannon Rioli with the no-look handball over the back to Williams, and it's Wanderers who is still in their defensive right back area of Tottenham. And under the scoreboard, Wanderers are going to try and go and attack down the right.
McLean with a good kick, looking for and finding Daniel Wheater. Right half forward, takes the mark with the little dinky left foot, finds Bo O'Connell on the paint of 50. Just to the right of centre, looks for somebody to give the ball to, goes by hand to Warwick Williams. And Williams, good pass. Thomas Motlop tried to hang on to it, couldn't do so. Now pops it back again into the corridor. Colley takes the mark for the Eagles in the corridor. Looking for a handball again for Wheater, finds him, and the umpire says, no, sorry, you have to come back onto your mark. So Edward Colley, the runner there was Daniel Wheater. He telegraphed it miles out. No one from Saints read it. Didn't come off. Colley now from dead in front, skips over 50, kick on its way. Strong kick from Colley, straight through for a goal. The Eagles, are they still in it? 20 points the difference now. 8-7-55, St Mary's 11-9-75, 19 minutes gone in the last.
Well, I'm glad the Eagles were actually managed to score then, because Saints were playing with one man down, with Joseph Salmon being helped off the field. What was interesting, though, and I don't know that anyone will pay attention, it certainly may not get caught on video, is Kieran Parnell actually ran onto the field before Salmon had actually left, as the little chip through there for Colley to go back and have a shot. So Parnell actually entered the play while Joseph Salmon was about 15 metres from coming off. And be interesting to see if that gets looked at by any official. But I'm glad the Eagles managed to score, because they had a one-man advantage.
Maloney and Patrick go up in the ruck, and Sedgwick is the man that infringed. So it's St Mary's down in the left forward pocket. Trying to juggle there is Paredes. He gets a handball onto Johnston. The left forward pocket up and under. Ugly kick out of bounds on the full. And as that ball up went in, Daniel Wheater has been moved into the middle for a couple. So Wanderers throwing everything and changing a few things up, because they trail by 3 goals. 19 minutes gone in the final term. Not too long until the siren. They're in the right back pocket. They just come outside their defensive 50. At the back 4, Wanderers is Thompson, and an ugly hand pass to Hood. Thompson over it, and it's going to be St Mary's. There's a scuffle in the background, Keep an eye on that.
Yep.
Thompson is able to chop it off. Great read from Thompson. He gets a handball out to a flying through Williams. Kicks it up towards Thomas Motlop, but in front of him for St Mary's. It was a good fist away. Thomas Motlop, though, still chasing after it, and it's just gone out tumbling in front of Thomas Motlop on the right attacking side of the centre square on the eastern wing.
So boundary throwing to take place out there now. 21 minutes gone. 75 plays 55. Ball tossed in. Goes to Collie. He was not the ruckman. So it has to be an immediate turnover free kick here to St Mary's.
That's right. He had to let the ball bounce.
Had
before
to
he
let
could
it
touch
bounce.
He's asking the umpire, so he doesn't know that.
No. And that's part of the problem is, sorry, not part of the problem, I shouldn't really say it like that, is the laws, the way the laws, the players don't always keep themselves up to date with the laws, Shannon. That's probably the diplomatic way to describe it.
Heath Maloney, a precise kick, finds Adam Parry, camped on the boundary 25 metres away. He decides to go backwards and goes to Tom Gilbert. So Gilbert, 52 metres from his defensive goal line, again goes short. St Mary's playing the short game here. 3 longs on the ground and they're going short.
Are you expecting a long kick?
I'm hoping for a long kick. That's a little longer, but not so long. Pressure being put on from Quinn. Well done from Sedgwick. Wheater got hold of it, got it to Hood, back to Wheater. Good hands to Warwick Williams. Wheater's the go-to man, but he can't do everything. He's gone in high here. Front on contact. Gilbert not very happy with his treatment, and I don't blame him. And the free kick paid. Half-back flank. Gilbert kicks it to Jack Long. Known for his long kicking. Will he take my hint? Shannon Rioli. He's looking for Shannon Rioli short. He ignores that and goes long. Target down here, Raphael Clark gets under the footy. Paredes has the opportunity to run onto it. Pick up is brilliant. Goes to Hams. He'll go on the left boot. He has a shot at goal. Oh, and that's a beautiful goal from Hams.
Great goal.
Well set up from St Mary's. And Hams finishes it off with a wonderful left foot kick close to the boundary.
I will say to you, that's about as good a running goal as you will see, and they did it down that, they didn't do it convincingly, but the turnover came eventually, and it came from Wanderers' overuse on that half-forward line from their half-forward, and Saints exploited it, and then they managed to get more runners behind it, and it's a very good running goal on his left foot in that left-forward pocket, airport end, and really a top-quality goal in conditions like this today.
Some quality goals from both pockets from both teams as well. As we're back in the middle, there's not going to be too much time here for St Mary's, who lead Wanderers 81-55. And we aren't too far away from the siren to finish off this match as Maloney goes up against Hood. Ball tossed up. Maloney wins it down comfortably, only as far as Slater, who was wrapped up by Sedgwick. And the ball up will take place right back in the middle of the park. This time one down by Hood, but the ball still not out of the centre square to St Mary's player. Oh, wrapped out. Jack Long took it out of the middle, and still the ball is in the middle of the park, and that'll be an incorrect disposal. Dropped as he tried to kick it, Slater, for St Mary's. So the free kick will go to Wanderers. We're still in the middle of the park here, in the middle of the centre square. Comes out to the left, and it just hung up in the breeze for Collie. Long, that's Jake Long, was there to pick it up. He is taken and drilled in the back by O'Connell, and he has been called for holding the ball. I'm surprised. Could have gone either way, really, if you thought about it. And
no, well, the tackle has to be legal before it can be paid holding the ball, so he drove him forward, should have been in the back. Yeah.
We're now back in the middle of the park, and it is getting sloppy at the end of this game between St Mary's and Wanderers. Looked like an incorrect disposal, not played. Jordan Jeffrey in the middle of the park, huge up and under inside the forward 50 for Wanderers, but it is going to be taken easily by St Mary's, and it's going to come out to the right.
That's a really good mark. The kick out to Gilbert, challenged by Hood. And in the end, the boundary line will win out. Jacob Long in hot pursuit, couldn't grab hold of the footy. There'll be a boundary throw in the shade of the Maurice Rioli grandstand. 25 minutes gone here. 81 plays 55. Maloney to line up against Hood. Maloney dashes in front. Could have taken the footy himself, but he tapped it only to the advantage of Sedgwick. He tries to step Yaron. That's a wonderful tackle laid by Sedgwick. He's got the smile on his face. He's honest enough to know he was beaten on that occasion.
Yeah.
And the siren sounds for full time in this match. A round 5 clash. Eagles and St Mary's. Entertaining game it was too. St Mary's eventually running out winners. 12-9-81 to Wanderers 8-7-55. A 26-point victory to St Mary's.
The NTFL clubs and umpires would like to share the following events and messages and thank their sponsors.
Getting my hands on the footy and just being with my mates.
I like being outdoors. It just makes me happy. I don't like it when I get yelled at.
It's pretty embarrassing when someone's shouting at you halfway through the game.
It makes me feel like I'm useless and I can't do anything.
We're just kids.
We're just here to have fun.
Let us do what we love.
Just let kids be kids.
We're here for when the heavens open and the winds howl. We're here for when the water just won't stop. We're here for the wet and we're here for the dry. We're here because we know there's nowhere else you'd rather be.
And there's nowhere else we'd rather be either. TIO Home Insurance. We're for Territorians.
So we can feel forever, yeah, feel together, real together. No one can stop. No one can stop. Nothing can ever bring me
Mother Nature can be frighteningly predictable in the Territory this time of year. Heavy rains and damaging winds can cause significant problems and disruption, particularly if you're unprepared, while downed power lines and flash flooding can